This is the video for the full body shake. I'm here to show you how to experience a full body bliss. Many years ago, when I started my journey of relationships and sexuality, this is the first thing I've actually dived into and I started to learn. It was when I was reading a book from David Deida that I discovered this little practice and little step-by-step process that I could follow and I could experiment with. And I decided to do that because I didn't see it actually. I had no one around me who knew how to do that. But I read or heard the stories that that's possible. And I was incredibly intrigued and I wanted to know whether that is the truth or not. So I started to play. And today I'm here to explain you this practice. And then I'm also going to address a few things to be aware of what full body pleasure actually can mean to you and your life. So first and foremost, the practice. This practice works with a Taoist principle of microcosmic orbit. Like we speak about chakra system, we speak about meridians, and Taoism also speaks about these energetical levels. And they are saying that there is a circuit in the body where the energy runs through. The circuit starts in our base and then runs up the spine. At the back of the mouth, it goes through the palate, and then at the front of the body, it goes back to the base. And through this circuit, the energy, your life force energy, runs your whole life. When we experience arousal, it's basically an energy that we are generating in our genital area. We all know that. That's where we experience the arousal, that's where we feel the horniness, that's where we feel and experience the pleasure. So instead of experiencing all of this energy in one localized area, we want, for the full body pleasure, what we want is to spread this energy around. And that's when we use the microcosmic orbit. So when I'm feeling the arousal and when I'm feeling the pleasure, I basically imagine. It starts with imagination and then you get more and more control over it. But with imagination, I just breathe in, pull the energy up my spine and imagine it's flowing up, and then I guide it back to the bottom, through the front, back to the base. And I just keep doing that. When I started playing with that, I started to just do it on myself. When I was self-pleasuring or when I felt arousal, I would just play and see what I can sense. And it's perfectly normal that in the beginning, it's a little bit ludicrous concept that it doesn't really flow, you don't feel much. But the more and more I repeated that, the more I experienced something. And it wasn't that long before I actually started to feel more pleasure spreading all around whenever I was experiencing orgasm or whenever I was actually even dancing. So here are 3 steps how to actually try to practice it. So step 1, very simple. We're just gonna breathe into our base, but the way we're gonna do it is kind of taking the energy from the earth and pulling it into your base, whilst you're also squeezing your PC muscles, which are the muscles that you can hold when you're peeing and they stop the pee. So it's the same kind of principle. You just squeeze them and then release on the exhale. Squeeze in, inhale, release on the exhale. And you do that for about 10 times at least, and just watch what happens to the energy there. Do you feel a little buzz? Do you feel a little lightness there? Do you feel some tingles? Do you feel nothing? That's perfectly fine too. Just watch for the reactions and watch how present and aware you are of that energy. That's your step 1. Step 2 then, when you do that, the next 10 breaths is breathing in again, but this time from the base, we're gonna pull the energy up the spine on the inhale. And on the exhale, I imagine that the energy flows back down into my base. And on the inhale again, up and down. And again, you just go around at least 10 times. And this is the practice. Step 3 is the top of the practice, and that's that you play. You become a little bit of a crazy scientist who tries. You try this when you're self-pleasuring. You can try it when you're just driving in your car, although be careful when you're doing that. You can try this when you're dancing and just start playing with the breathing in and breathing out whilst you're moving and see like how that charges you up. You just experiment, you just explore, and here are the things to be aware of. First and foremost, you must be aware that in the beginning you might not feel that much, right? But you gotta trust your body is slowly opening, and very often, if as we don't have the ability to feel so much, it takes the body some time to open up, because this is the exercise of letting go and surrender. You have to be in a complete openness and relaxation. If your body is in any way stiff, if the energetical channels are blocked, the energy cannot pass through. So it is the undoing of the kinks in the hose that allows for the energy to flow. So initially, you might just be undoing the energetical blocks that are actually in your body. So secondly, be aware that this process of undoing and this experience of full body orgasm is running on more nuanced energetical levels in the body that we usually are concerned with. So it requires a little bit more awareness of what is happening inside, and it takes time to get attuned to that. So it's perfectly fine that, in the beginning it's a little bit wobbly, and then eventually you're more and more attuned to your energy and you're more and more present to what is happening actually deeper in your body than you're used to. Which can also, number 3, bring up emotions. So the kinks that I spoke about, the blockages, can be of emotional character. It might be related to your mindset. It might be related to sexual taboos that you hold, conditioning that we have from the way we live and we are brought up. And all of these things might need to shift and change. And you naturally, when you get into a process of undoing these kinks, you will be invited to look at these things. So the awareness here is to not run away from that, but really relearn certain mindset things and behavioral things that will allow for the energy to flow then. And number 4 that I want to mention is just the bonus, really, because this opening of the body takes the localized pleasure and spreads it all around the body. So the pleasure that I feel in my base when I'm aroused, I then feel also in my fingers. It's not always the same experience. Don't assume that it's always the same or a certain way how it looks. It will look every time different, and also very different for each and one of you. But what happens then as well, which is the absolute benefit, is there are ways that I am now far more sensitive at the fingers and palms, and I experience more pleasure here that then backwards feeds the base. So you kind of enter this whole circuit of pleasure where your body becomes the spot that can be touched and entertained and played with. And there's one more thing I actually want to add. I can't believe I almost forgot. This is the best thing. When you're being intimate or when you're being aroused, there is a certain pleasure point that you reach, right? Like the experience of the pleasure potential that you have and you're used to. And that's where usually like around that zone, that's when you experience orgasm. This increased sensitivity is actually opening up a whole new world, because it's far more energy that runs through your body. And when the pleasure is only in one location, there's only so much that place kind of can take. But if I take that energy and I spread it all around the body, the pressure kind of lessens. So there is more space to fill. So hence my pleasure potential can actually grow, and I can go into places where I experience far more pleasure than ever before my body actually shakes on a whole basis. And what is incredible, and no one even prepares you for, when you do this journey and you increase your pleasure potential, you kind of don't go to the same baseline as everyone else. So because I'm open to my energy, and because I'm more aware, and because I'm running more energy, because I don't waste my energy, I run it in that microcosmic orbit on a more regular basis, there is actually more ecstatic state that I live in on an everyday basis than most people do. I'm more prone to enter an ecstatic state almost immediately, and it's just so available, and it's so consistently like buzzing through me, this underlying level of energetical exchange, which is absolutely beautiful. And that's basically like how ecstatic bliss happens, by the way. You just expand and expand and expand until you reach the crazy levels. But even with just playing with it, your pleasure potential will increase. So I hope that you are ready, watching this video, that you are ready to actually experience more pleasure in your life, because that's what's going to happen. Now I know that all of this seems absolutely ludicrous, so I will also show you now. I will show you what that can look like, because I want you to understand that this is an experience that's independent on other people. You don't need anyone else, and this is something you can start practicing on your own with your own body, and you can be very open as a result. So I'm going to show you how open I am, like how that can look like. I understand that maybe some of you will think that I'm just pretending it. That's fine. Think whatever you want to think. But this is how I experience it, and you will see how quick it actually is for me to get into heightened states of ecstasy. Well, I hope that helped to understand it more. It's a lot of fun. It's very available to me, and it is an amazing way how to experience your own body. That's all I have to say. If you have any questions, just hit me up. There is an email in my description. Let me know how you're going with this, if you need any troubleshooting, and I'll see you in another video.